Okay, everybody, thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Emily Lakemaker, and I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment and Student Life here at the Rollins School of Public Health. And we're really happy that you're here for our environmental health webinar. Just a few logistics here at the top. We are recording this, so if you want to go back and rewatch this later or have anybody that you'd like to share it with that you think would be interested in this information, we'll have this up on our YouTube channel within usually about 3 to 5 business days of the live event, and I will email that link out to everyone that's registered for this session. So you can look for that in your email soon. Additionally, we're going to go through the PowerPoint presentation first with our 3 panelists that are here, and then feel free, though, as you have questions, to up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you can see my cursor here. Feel free to type your questions into the question section. Once we get through with the presentation, we'll go through and read those aloud and answer them. If we don't have time to get through all the questions, we will provide our contact information, and you can email those to us directly so we can be sure that we cover and address all questions and concerns and make sure that we get that all taken care of. I think that's pretty much it for the logistics here, just so that way you're all clear. You can hear us, but we can't hear you, so that's why you'll have to type in all of your questions. But aside from that, I think we're ready to get started, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our panelists.
Great, thank you so much. So just to give you an idea of who is here, I'm Karen Levy. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Environmental Health, and I'm here with Ariadne Schwittenberg, who's the Associate Director of Academic Programs, and Greta Wilt, who's a second year in the Global Environmental Health Program. So first I wanted to give an overview of the department. The Department of Environmental Health at Emory, our main overarching theme is that we explore how human health is influenced by our interactions with the environment. And we take a very broad, expansive view of what the environment means. So we include everything from chemical and microbial contamination of air, water, and other media, all the way out to other factors, larger distal environmental phenomena such as urban sprawl and climate change. So the faculty of the Environmental Health Department, our goal ultimately with the research that we do and the teaching that we do is to promote a healthy environment for all people. And in our work and interactions with students, our goal is to prepare students to tackle big challenges of the future. So some examples of that would be understanding interactions of exposures with the human genome, projecting impacts of climate and other global changes, land use changes on health impacts, and promoting sustainable stewardship of resources. So for example, ensuring that we have safe air to breathe and water to drink. So, and as I mentioned before, we really do have a unique take on our definition of environmental health in the department, that we really do have an expansive view of the definition of environmental health. There are lots of opportunities for students to get involved in faculty research projects, and I think this is one question that many people have had for me in my interactions with them and emails is, can I get involved with faculty research? Not only can you, we want you to. This is something that most students at some point get involved with some faculty research projects, and many students end up carrying out their theses and with faculty members and publishing the results of their work. So we have a very diverse faculty. On our faculty, we have people who have PhDs and background in environmental health, environmental sciences, environmental engineering, epidemiology, biology, chemistry, medicine, and law. So each of our faculty members, many of them have joint appointments in other units on campus, for example, chemistry. In terms of the research areas, we really have a lot of strength in certain areas, and our strengths, I just want to highlight a few of those. So one is in pesticides and industrial contaminants and environmental epidemiological approaches to understanding the influences of pesticides and industrial contaminants on human health. Another big area of focus for the department is on air pollution and global climate change. And then another focus of the department and faculty members of the department is in water sanitation and hygiene and infectious disease ecology. So, and that's, I'd say, also a strength across the school. So specifically, what do some of those broader research areas focus down on are questions about air and water pollution, infectious disease ecology, pesticides, water sanitation and hygiene, neurologic outcomes, endocrine disruptors, gene-environment interactions, built environment, global climate change. Our faculty are addressing topics, research topics in all of these areas. And lastly, I did just want to mention that not only do we have the research that our core faculty is involved with, we also have strong partnerships with other agencies in the Atlanta area. So the CDC is located right across the street, and at the CDC is located the National Center for Environmental Health, ATSDR, NIOSH. We have connections with Environmental Protection Agency, American Cancer Society, the Georgia Division of Public Health, and Georgia Environmental Protection Division. And so there's lots of opportunities for students to get involved in these more applied settings. And we really value these partnerships and have many people who are affiliated with these organizations have adjunct appointments on our faculty and are very involved in our research. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Ariadne, and she can talk a little bit more about the academic programs.
Thanks, Karen. Hi, everyone. I'm Ariadne Spitzenberg. I'm the academic advisor for the department, and I help with everything from admissions to advising students once they're here, helping students throughout their time here, as well as with graduation and helping with alumni. So I'm going to walk you a little bit through the academics of our department, starting with the degrees and the programs, prerequisites, the curriculum overview, practicums and internships, a little bit about thesis and capstone, and then we'll touch on funding as well, and then we'll get your questions after. So the degrees offered in our program, we have two different MPH degrees programs. One is environmental health, one is global environmental health. And the global is for those who want to have a environmental health focus with the global perspective. And then we have an MSPH, a Master's of Science in Public Health. That's with environmental health and epidemiology. That's a joint program between those two programs. We also have a 5-year program for students who are in the Emory College who are earning a BS in environmental science. And they can come and get the MPH in their 5th year here, so it's a 4+1. And then we do have dual degree options with various programs throughout Emory. And we also have a PhD in environmental health sciences. And our website link is there on the bottom to get more information about all of these programs. So across the board in all the programs, kind of tying in with all the interest areas that you heard that our faculty are working in, we will be teaching you skills in environmental hazard recognition and control, risk assessment, environmental policy, epidemiology, toxicology, programmatic perspectives, and then also ecology and demography and environmental science. So that's generally the skills that we will focus on in the core classes and all the requirements to get everybody a foundation in these areas. Because of the prerequisites, especially starting in the first semester of environmental hazards and toxicology, the prerequisites for coming at the beginning are chemistry and biology, and the minimum requirement would be 1 semester of chemistry and biology. Obviously, more semesters is better. And then also recommended are calculus, statistics, organic chemistry, and physiology. And in the past, we found that our students who've had more of the prerequisites or the recommended classes have an easier time in the first semester with some of the core classes and then also moving on to more advanced classes. And you can apply without these classes but we would just ask that if you're accepted, then you just at least take the chemistry and/or biology prior to starting in the fall. And for global environmental health applicants, it is also preferred that you can demonstrate some global experience, and that is a benefit to those applicants. So in general, the curriculum for the MPH program is 42 credit hours, and the MSPH is 48 hours. And Rollins works on a flat rate tuition, and it is full-time. It's a 2-year program, and 9 credits is minimum to be full-time per semester, and upwards to 17 or 18 credits as the maximum per semester. And so it is flexible of how heavy or light the course load would be for each semester. In general, our master's students are probably taking on average about 15 credits a semester, give or take, depending on the individual. Dual degree students have less required hours because they're usually earning their full degree in 1 year at Rollins. And we have a full course description page with sample syllabi for all of our classes that we offer in our department, and that's on our website through the Environmental Health Department. And then also required is practicum and a culminating experience. So the practicum is working in the field. The majority of our students at Rollins are working starting at the beginning of their program here, and after the first semester, students can start working on their required practicum hours, and it's really to get work experience in the field. So the practicum starts no earlier than January of the first year for full-time students, and it is 200 to 400 hours, and it can happen anytime between second semester all the way through the end of the program. And most people are going to also have a full-time practicum in the summer. And so oftentimes they could just knock out the whole practicum in the summer. You could have multiple positions for this. It could be paid or unpaid. And we provide you a lot of resources and opportunities to identify both general employment for when you first are getting here looking for work, as well as for the practicum requirement. And I also would like to note that any student can participate in a global experience. So you don't have to be in the global environmental health program or a global department, for example, to do international work. So a lot of our students in the environmental health department are doing their practicum globally as well as locally here in Atlanta. So the sky's the limit as to where you're getting this experience. So we also require a culminating experience, and this would be the same for any department at Rollins, but in our department, we offer a thesis or a capstone option. If you are in the MSPH program with epidemiology, then thesis is required, but the MPH programs have a choice between thesis or capstone. And it is a culmination of what you've learned in the classroom, and it can, but it doesn't have to be part of the practicum experience. And the Rollins faculty serve as advisors for this particular project. And on the other hand, the practicum experience needs to be outside of Emory so that you're working with people in the real world outside of academia. So this is kind of where you get your academic culminating experience, and it could either be research-based, which is the thesis, or capstone, which is more practice or more of a project, a student-driven project based on your interests, or even just moving forward and going more in depth in a previous class project or interest or something that came out of practicum. So one nice thing, and again, this is kind of across the board of all Rollins departments, is that all incoming students get assigned an advisor and also a faculty contact. So I serve as the academic advisor, as I had mentioned, and every department has either 1 or 2 people in this role. So again, after we're done with this webinar, if you have questions, you'll always have a point person in every department that you can contact. And we also assign you to an environmental health faculty advisor so that you can immediately start making connections and just kind of getting guidance from faculty. And that could change throughout your program here, depending on what you end up doing in your second year. But at least on day one, everybody gets a faculty advisor, and those people, the matches are assigned, and you would find out at orientation. So I just wanted to go a little bit more in depth about practicum examples, just to give you an idea of the breadth and the different kinds of opportunities that our students are engaging in. And this really does reflect, as Karen had mentioned earlier, the public health world in which we are networked and connected to. A lot of these organizations and practicum sites are based off of where either faculty and or students and or alumni have built or made connections, and we help bridge that. And we also help post opportunities throughout the year for people to apply. We also have practicum fairs. We also have career services has employment fairs throughout the year. So there's a lot of opportunities for us to give you to network and to apply to identify what you're interested in doing. So people, as I mentioned, do international work. Examples here are Center for Global Safe Water. If you're maybe traveling to another country and or working here by looking at other countries for water-related work. National Center for Environmental Health. People have worked in disaster management, for example. Environment and Population Research Center, Environmental Protection Agency, and then a nonprofit example is Youth for Unity and Voluntary Action, and that was actually Insight in India. So it just kind of gives you some examples. We have a much more in-depth listing on our website of other type of examples for practicum as well. And a lot of people are working in these agencies as alumni and or in summers. So we always get a lot of questions about funding opportunities and what kind of financial aid is available. You'll hear a lot more about this, and I know Student Services has their own financial aid webinars and more resources. Primarily taken, the first place to go would be to log into the accepted student portal if you have been accepted as an applicant for this year, and if you don't have access to that right now, then just to mention, we'll go through some of the opportunities. Merit scholarships were through, those are merit-based, so based on your application. Public health mission-driven scholarships are people who are have specific things that they're interested in doing and certain goals, and you can apply for those scholarships. Financial aid, we definitely encourage everybody to fill out a financial aid application so that we can award you anything that you might be eligible for. Rollins Earn and Learn funding is basically like work-study money that Rollins pays for half of your hourly rate, and then your employer would pay for the other half of it. And that's awarded through your financial aid application on a first-come, first-served basis. For those who are interested in doing global field work in the summer, there is a funding that you can apply for called the Global Field Experience. And that is through a grant type process that you would work on being due the spring before your first summer, so you can go and travel and do some international work, as well as we have funding through the Global Health Institute also for international work. And then we do have environmental health specific opportunities. I have a sheet that just has some somewhat random miscellaneous opportunities that people have sent us over the years, and we just kind of say, hey, check out these websites. So a lot of them are federal organizations like EPA, National Science Foundation, U.S. Department of Energy, and I can email that to you directly if you email me for it, and or oftentimes just basic internet searches of organizations that we have mentioned oftentimes have awards or opportunities for students to be able to apply to as well. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the student perspective, or the academic perspective, and I'm going to turn things over to Greta, who's going to talk a little bit about the student life and perspective and campus organizations and other things that we offer around Emory and Atlanta.
Hey everyone, so there's a really great environmental network at Emory University that I actually wasn't aware of till I got here, but Climate at Emory is an overarching organization with all of the departments through the university, and they do so much to, in all aspects of like sustainability and green campuses, really work to make both the Rollins campus and the entire university like LEED certified, etc. The Rollins Environmental Health Action Committee is one of the main environmental health clubs on campus and really focuses on connecting organizations on campus to external groups that are interested in sustainability and health consequences. And then there's so many other things like the student government, the Global Health Organization, Center for Global Safe Wash has a lot of ongoing projects throughout the year like World Water Day, etc., that you can get involved in. And then so much happens throughout the graduate sustainability group, etc., which is so great to meet other people, graduate students in different departments that share a lot of the same interests and a lot of opportunities for collaboration. And then there's an outdoor club, an educational garden project, which is so much fun, garden during lunches. And then if you're interested in biking, really just like so many opportunities if you're passionate about any aspect of the environment or sustainability to get involved in. And then of course like intramurals happen on Emory's campus that graduate students are encouraged to participate in. And then Atlanta itself has so much to offer in terms of the environment, which I also was not aware of before I got here, but the Lantern Parade festivals, there's a really awesome network of paths that are being created called the Beltline that are eventually going to connect all of Atlanta. And then Georgia itself has beaches and hiking and everything, so you really can find things to do outside of Atlanta as well. So yeah, I think open it up for questions.
All right, so I think that's it for the primary part of the presentation. So we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. If you have any, feel free to put them in the question section, and we will just be reading them aloud and going through and answering them. So we've got one to start with, so we'll get through this, but feel free to put in any more as we're going along. So Alexander is asking, for the MSPH in Environmental Health and Epidemiology, could a student request to transfer in if they find it more in tune with their interest than the MPH later in their academic year? Okay, so they're asking if they came in as an MPH and then realized that the MSPH is a better track for them, can they transfer in?
So most of the departments and programs at Rollins do allow the option to request a department or program transfer after you are here. Generally speaking, in our department, we would only like to review an application one time per year. So for example, if you've applied to the MS program at the beginning and you were not accepted, but you did get accepted into the MPH program, then perhaps you can request it, and the program directors might just want to wait till after your first full semester to look at your transcript and see how you did in your first semester, and then they could consider a switch. But we definitely try to make sure that you're getting into the best program for you at the beginning. But with that said, we do know that people might change interest or learn about something that they didn't necessarily know about before they got here. So we do allow you to request a transfer midway through, and it's just up to the program or department, either if they want to review it and or what their admission decision would be at that time.
All right, so our next one is from Stephanie, and she's asking, what is the approximate size of the incoming MPH class? So total, we bring in about between 500 and 550 each year. But keep in mind that's spread across 7 academic departments. Within the EH program, what is it usually, 40 to 50?
I'd say 50-ish,
50-ish?
And that's within all of our all the master's programs. So for example, within EH or GEH, it could be anywhere from 20 to 30, which is really nice that it's a nice small cohort per your program. And then also the environmental health department is one of the smallest departments at at Rollins, but you also have the access and the joint connections with all the other departments. So it is kind of like the best of both worlds, where you get to take electives. Oh, that's one thing I didn't mention, but we get to take electives in our department as well as any other department at Rollins, as well as any other department at Emory. And if Emory doesn't offer what you're interested in taking, then some people actually go and take classes at another university through an exchange program. And some of our students in our department sometimes take a class at Georgia Tech, for example.
Mm-hmm. And there's actually a shuttle that goes all day back and forth between Emory and Georgia Tech. So if you don't want to have to make that drive, you don't have to. So that helps.
Yeah, I guess I would add, especially like the first question, the best thing about the environmental health department is it's so flexible. And so what happened is I personally realized that I really wanted some more biostatistics, but the EH department has been completely flexible in allowing me to take so many more of those classes. And I took a class at Georgia Tech. And so I think one of the best things about, even if you're in the EH department and we're like, oh, maybe I want that Master's of Science, you can really get the skills by you have so much freedom to take.
And one thing too, in addition to being able to use your electives to take classes across departments, whether that's global health, epidemiology, biostats, like Greta was saying, you can also take classes in the nursing school, the law school, and the business school. Or also, since Ariadne mentioned too that Emory, that we have a flat rate tuition, so 9 credit hours costs as much as 16, costs as much as 18, although I wouldn't say take 18 credit hours. But if you're thinking about maybe wanting to take like a language class to improve those skills, you could do that on the undergrad side of campus as well. So there's a lot of different ways to utilize all the different ways, the flexibility that the department offers. And for the MPH, I think it's 42 required hours to graduate, but most of our students are graduating with well over that, just because of the opportunities that are presented. They have a hard time passing a lot of them up. So we don't have any questions right now, but I think it'd be great, Greta, if maybe you could talk a little bit about just like life in Atlanta, and maybe like how you found your apartment and where you live and like where you came from and what it was, the acclimation.
Of course.
Where are you from?
I'm from Minnesota, and then I went to undergrad in Colorado. So I had never lived in the South, and I was so hesitant about the South at first. I found my roommates through the Rollins Facebook page. They have a great housing page. And we still live together. We get along fantastically. And then we live probably like 2 miles away from campus in a very nice little 1-story ranch house with a beautiful backyard that we found it was like Craigslist plus the Rollins housing page. They posted on it. And yeah, it's so great. I like Atlanta so much. I think it was always an adjustment, but there's so much I really like hiking and swimming and being outside, and there's a bunch to do there, especially if you can leave the perimeter of Atlanta.
Yeah, there's a lot of small and large parks just outside of this, just what we call OTP, outside of the perimeter, and even some that are inside the perimeter, but they're very easy to get to, especially if you do come with a car, or if you make friends with a car, or make friends with someone with a car. Don't make friends with a car, that would be weird. But if it is easy to kind of get outside of the city itself and go to Sweetwater Creek State Park, or go to Arabia Mountain or Stone Mountain, and really enjoy what Atlanta has to offer in terms of natural resources.
I would also just add, I've been here for about 6 years, and I can't believe how fast Atlanta is changing. Since I arrived, there's new restaurants, new shops, the Beltline that Greta mentioned, and a lot of really great changes. And one thing that's really improving in Atlanta is it's becoming a lot more bikeable, and the city is devoting a lot of resources to trying to improve the bikeability. So if anybody's interested in biking, as a bike commuting, I do that every day, and there's plenty of students who also do that. And so I definitely recommend getting in touch with other students if you're going to come here to understand what are the best places to live to plan your route.
The limitation.
And regardless of whether you want to bike or just want to know where to live, I definitely recommend getting in touch with other students to ask about their experiences.
I can bike to school, and it's so important for me to be able to bike. Just like coming from the #1 bike city in America, just topped Portland a few years ago. And so that was really important to me. So I would recommend like Virginia Highlands or Decatur. But there's also like campus crossing.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. And on the admitted student portal, for those of you that have already been accepted, there's the Discover Atlanta section. And within that, we have a whole housing section that's got maps and descriptions of all the different little neighborhoods. Because Atlanta is pretty divided up like that. Like each there's the city itself, but then within it, there's all these cute little neighborhoods that have their own little vibe.
Yeah.
And that's where people kind of find what fits best for them. So we have descriptions there, maps, and make it easy to kind of get over to figure out how easy it would be to get to campus. And then last year, we actually added some biking resources. So there's like a Google map that is aggregated and managed by, I believe, Bike Atlanta, which is an organization here.
Also, Spokes Council is so great. It's this entire collaboration of the different departments at Emory, and I worked with them. I was the president of the Rollins Environmental Health Action Committee, but we organized like brewery bike rides, and they're so mobile and print off like really great maps about how to get to Emory, avoiding all of the roads with no shoulders.
It's absolutely possible. It's doable. All right, so next question. Stephanie is asking, is it typical for students to have a part-time job at the beginning of the program? And is it possible to find a job in the field of environmental health? I would certainly say for at least while you're here as a student, I can't think of any student that I know that isn't doing some type of job, whether that's a teaching assistant, whether that's through the REAL program, whether that's as a research assistant or doing their practicum. Certainly, I mean, and the time management is there. It's you've got to develop those skills, but the opportunities are there. Would you agree, Greta?
Yeah. So right now I work through REAL with, actually my practicum decided they wanted to extend my work with them, so they hired me on through REAL, and they're based in New York City, so that's remotely. But I'm also doing data analysis for a professor, and then I coach a youth ultimate frisbee team also. So it's like just a lot of things, and people are like, how do you do all that? But everyone at Rollins is doing so much. So when you like compare yourself to your peers, you're like, I probably should get another job. Everyone has so many things going on, and it's really exciting.
And then Ariadne, do you want to talk about, or do y'all want to cover like jobs post? I'm assuming Stephanie's talking about jobs post graduation. When in the second part of her question, she asked, is it possible to find a job in the field of environmental health? If you're
wait, ask her if she means during.
Yeah, Stephanie, if you could let us know.
Why don't we speak to both?
We can speak to both.
So while you're in the program, there are opportunities, as we've just discussed, for finding jobs in the field of environmental health as part of your practicum experience and thesis experience. And then maybe you could speak to the alumni question.
Sure. Yeah. Afterwards, our department has a wonderful employment rate. We actually do have some reports online, both I think the link is from our webpage, and then there is a career services webpage for Rollins that has alumni reports for the past maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10 years that shows percentages and basically the sectors where people have gone to work. The majority of people from our department probably I would say majority as in maybe 50% or 60% are working in the public sector, some sort of government or state organization, agency, CDC, health departments, and then all the rest are a mix are going to be private, nonprofits, international work, going back to get a PhD. Some have actually gone on to go to medical school. So I would say the best thing to do while you're here is to be making those connections through your practicum, through your faculty, through all the guest speakers and all the exciting things that are going on. The reason why you're going to come to this program is to help make all of those connections, and therefore then you've got your stepping stone for your employment opportunities when you're done. And a lot of our students, luckily, are getting multiple offers upon graduation, so hopefully they get to choose out of more than one option as well.
Mm-hmm. And a great resource for looking at where students are going post-graduation is on the Rollins website. There's a career section. So that is our career services office. And they, on their website, have I think it's called Graduation Employment Survey. And that's where they basically survey our alumni 1 year post-graduation. And we have 5 years of data of that. Broken down by department. So you can go back and look for the past 5 years where all of our EH alumni are, their job title, where they're working, salary ranges, things like that. And the Career Services Office, I don't know what kind of magic they do, but they get like a 98% response rate of alumni on those. So that's a really great way just to see like actual job titles and where they're going and what they're doing. So I'd recommend checking that out. Abina is asking, hey, I wanted to ask if the Global Environmental Health MPH take their classes separately as a different class or share the environmental classes that intersect with environmental health class and share with the global health class.
That is a great question. You pretty much have it correct in your question, where the Global Environmental Health program is a bit of a hybrid between the environmental health MPH, and it does incorporate components and networks with the global health department as well. So there's a few slight core classes that are different between the global environmental health and the EH, the environmental health MPH. So I will say though, the curriculum, when you look at it, is just slightly different. It has a lot of similarities. So when you're not sure, I would just say in general, if you know you want to have a global focus in your program here, then you can apply first to the Global Environmental Health program, or for some students who come in and might not have a very strong global background already, then we might recommend the Environmental Health MPH program might be a better fit. So then you can do the international work and still take electives in global health or do an international practicum in the summer to gain some of those experiences while you're here.
All right, and Stephanie's asking about if students feel confident about the ability to pay off loans once they graduate. So one thing that I want to talk about that is I believe it's called the Perkins Loan Forgiveness Program. And a lot of our students end up enrolling in that upon graduation. It's basically where the federal government is trying to encourage people to go into fields that involve a lot of jobs like public health, basically public service fields. So if you're working for the government at county all the way up to federal level, various nonprofits can get approved for this loan forgiveness program, as well as even some for-profit agencies, depending on the type of work that you're doing. And more often than not, public health work can fall into that. So basically, you can apply to get into that program, see if you qualify, which generally what it is once your loans go back into repayment, you would then go into income-based repayment. That would change every year based on your taxes. You know, hopefully your payments will go up as your salary continues to go up with the more experience you gain. And then at the end of 10 years, after 10 years of consecutive payments, you would then the balance of your loan would be forgiven. So 10 years may sound like a long time, but at the end of the day, you know, if you graduate from grad school at 25 and at 35, if your loans are gone, I'm 33, 34, something like that right now. If my loans were gone in a year, I would be ecstatic. So in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that long of a time. And it's a great way to make it seem more manageable and not seem like you're going to be carrying around this oppressive amount of debt, you know, throughout your entire adult life, because that certainly wouldn't be the case. So that's my piece of advice for that. I don't know if Ariadne or if you guys have any other insight or tips onto that.
Think about it until I graduate, but yeah, I think there's like a lot of opportunities, and I think Rollins works with you to make it work. I know, like, I have partial funding from the school, which helps. And so, like, I think that's something to consider when you're choosing where to go. Also, like, how much loan do you have to take out? Atlanta has a cheap housing market, and which is also nice when deciding between, like, other places.
Yeah. I think most of our students on average pay anywhere between $500 and $700 for their rent, and usually that's with roommates. But between $500 and $700, and that's within walking distance to campus, and so it's quite affordable compared to some other cities. Okay, Hannah is asking, can you compare what the coursework load is like between Emory, MPH, and undergrad?
I think you take on a lot more, like, external responsibilities in grad school. Like, grad school is not undergrad. I think that's the bottom line. But you're also hopefully more interested and more focused in what you're doing. So your job and your thesis research and your academic coursework will all intertwine, which is really exciting. But I do think I work quite a bit harder in grad school than I did in undergrad, just because you're juggling, like, so many research opportunities and school, and it's grad school, so you did make a large financial commitment to be here, so you're going to get out of it what you put in, but you can still have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, our students, like we were saying earlier, they take full course loads. They're working to sound like 3 jobs for Greta.
It's okay.
And then on top of that, our students are all very involved extracurricularly here on campus. So whether that's a student org, like we were talking about earlier, being an exec board member, or just being a member, our students do all of that. But again, I think that speaks to the type of student that we tend to draw here. But the time is there. It's just a matter of developing those time management skills.
Yeah, I agree. Like, one reason I took the Frisbee job is it, like, gets me outside and I get to play Frisbee. So it's fun. It's not like, it doesn't seem like a stressful commitment.
Yeah. We have a lot of students that stress out about, well, I've got to get a public health related job while I'm there. But then we have a lot that once they're here, they're like, maybe I just want to babysit a few days a week just to do something like completely non-public health related to kind of reset your brain.
Yeah, it's a great, like, second job. It's fun.
Yeah. But either way that you want to go, the opportunities are there.
Yeah.
So it looks like that's it on the questions. And I think we've pretty much tried to cover everything that we wanted to. Any final words from our panelists?
I think just let us know if you have any questions. You can, this is Ariadne, you can feel free to email me directly. Contact information is on our website, and we're really excited that you were able to join us today.
The last thing that I do want to mention for those of you that are admitted is Visit Emory, which is March 31st and April 1st. It is our 2-day admitted student extravaganza event, and it's really where you can get a great feel of what we have to offer. Over the course of the 2 days, you can sit in on classes. You'll attend a reception with our faculty and dean. You'll attend a department meeting that's very in-depth over the curriculum and practicum and meeting more faculty within the EH department. Our student government hosts a few social events to try to get to know everybody. We've got student panels like how to find housing in Atlanta and minority student life at Rollins. So financial aid will have drop-ins. So there's so many different ways to get involved through that and to learn about what life would be like here as a student. So all the information about Visit Emory is on our admitted student portal. So check that out. Then there's a draft schedule up there. We're still finalizing it, but the schedule that's up there is pretty good to go. There's information on how to register. One thing that there's not information out, and that one of the benefits of attending these webinars is that we offer travel grants. And so if you are interested in receiving a travel grant, we would hate for finances to be a hurdle for you to attend this. We think it's that important, so we try to help alleviate that as much as possible. So you can email Ariadne, and her contact information is here on the screen, and she can get you in contact with me with how to apply for one of those travel grants. In addition to that, we also, on the registration page for Visit Emory on the admitted student portal, we have a link to sign up to stay with a current student. So between getting a travel grant and staying with a current student, which our student body is so awesome to open up their homes to prospective students. We usually put up about 80 or so students each year through that program. So we're very fortunate for that. We really hope that those two things combined can help mitigate any cost that you would incur to come, and that's how important we feel it is for you to be here. So shoot Ariadne an email and we can make sure that you get information on that travel grant process.
I'd also add, if you are not an accepted student and you're a prospective applicant, that we also have open house in the fall, and we also have monthly and or whenever you can make it visit sessions that include tours and information sessions, and the schedule of events is on the Rollins admissions page, and it's under Visit Us or Come Check Us Out. So if you're haven't been here before and are thinking about applying, there's also ways to come visit us pretty much at any time that works for you.
I'll just add one last thing, that in terms of the research and the activities that are going on in the department, we are trying to become more active in social media. And so on our Facebook page, you can go and like the Facebook page and you can get a sense of the kinds of seminars that have been happening recently, and some of the papers, new papers that are coming out, and the research that's coming out from the department. So you can get a sense of up-to-date information about research going on in the department.
Yep. Okay, guys, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. We really enjoyed it, and hopefully you got some good information out of this. Like we said, we did record this, so it'll be up on the Rollins YouTube page in about 3 to 5 business days, and I'll email out that link to everybody once it's up. And it'll also be on the EH Facebook page. So with that, I think we're going to sign off. Thanks for joining us, and I hope everyone has a great week.